Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the weirdest, darkest, and quirkiest things from the 1970s that are unlikely to stage a comeback.
And there was no evidence to suggest that lead posed any threat to the consumer.
Number 10. Disco clubs.
What are you talking about, baby? Look at that chick. She be dancing, man. She's grooving.
Yeah, nightclubs are definitely still a thing, but we're not talking about nightclubs. We're talking about disco clubs. In the 70s, these were the cultural epicenter of music, glamour, liberation, mirror balls, and platform shoes. And yes, there was also a seedy underbelly. Disco biscuits, anyone?
I was wearing lingerie and heels, and I could go to the dance floor and I could dance with everybody. I'd float on the dance floor and dance with. They were all my friends.
But disco faced a huge cultural backlash in the late 70s and early 80s, and new genres like new wave and eventually hip-hop started taking over. And while disco has been resurfacing in various forms, it's more a curated pastiche, or the subject of a theme night, not a living subculture like it was in the 70s. The night fever, we don't know how to do it. Number 9. Adult movies in theaters.
You gotta be kidding.
What?
This is a dirty movie.
No, this is a movie that a lot of couples come to. All kinds of couples go here.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Imagine just walking down the street and seeing a poster for an adult movie in your local theater marquee. Well, that actually was a thing in the 70s. To some extent, big cities were packed with grindhouse and adult theaters that showed explicit films throughout the day. And these weren't exactly tucked away where kids wouldn't see them. These were in Times Square.
Where are you going?
I have to leave now.
Why?
I don't know why I came in here. I don't like these movies.
Well, I mean, I didn't know that you'd feel that way about this movie. I don't know much about movies, but if I
Is this the
know...
only kind of movies you go to?
Adult content even had a brief flirtation with mainstream respectability. Movies like The Devil and Miss Jones and Behind the Green Door were released in regular theaters, became huge cultural phenomena, and were reviewed by professional critics. But VCRs and the internet killed this, and needless to say, it probably won't be happening again anytime soon.
This is the future. Videotape tells the truth.
Number 8. Questionable toys.
I want an official red undercover action 200 range ball air rifle.
Ooh, no. Shoot your eye out.
Oh, no.
The 1970s were a wild time for toys. Creative, often unregulated, and sometimes shockingly dangerous. You've got your clackers, which often shattered violently and sent shrapnel into kids' faces. Lawn darts had the power to pierce skulls. Chemistry sets often came with real chemicals like sulfur and ammonium nitrate. Easy bake ovens and thing makers scalded their users and gave them permanent skin grafts. BB guns were often given as gifts, and you better believe the young boys shot each other with them.
No, I want an official red undercover action 200 range ball air rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Heck, even playgrounds were often Final Destination death traps, with loose screws, rusty nails, and those old sheet metal slides that reached temperatures unknown to science.
And all I can think of, while I'm sitting there, is that I'm paying a babysitter $3.25 an hour to listen to his problems.
Right.
Daddy, look.
Billy, take that out of your hand.
I'll get him. You know, Charlie isn't
You hear me?
what you call generous with a buck.
Billy!
Number 7. Wandering kids.
All right, Michael, out of the boat!
Daddy, sitting in the boat.
Get out of that boat!
Hey, Dad, just a little longer.
It's not to say that kids don't play outside anymore, but it's really not the same. Back then, the idea of free-range kids wasn't even a concept. It was just normal life. Kids left the house in the morning and didn't return until dinner, and God knows what they got up to in that time.
I want you to get out into the fresh air and make some friends. Run around, scrape your knees, get dirty. Climb trees, hop fences, get into trouble, for crying out loud. Not too much, but some.
parks, the woods, restaurants, the movies, the world was their oyster. And of course, there were no cell phones, so parents just had to trust that they were all right and that they'd be home for dinner. But technology, media-driven fear, and changing parental styles have effectively killed this untamed sense of freedom. We'll go back to it when a solar flare wipes out our technology, but until then...
Where are they?
Oh my gosh, I can hardly keep track these days. They were at Dustin's, then Lucas's, and Max's. You know how it is. Summer!
Probably getting into some kind of trouble.
Number 6, no seatbelts.
Hop in there.
Seatbelts!
Seatbelts, all right. Seatbelts, don't forget your seatbelts.
It really is amazing that we survived the 70s as a species. The kids were shooting themselves with BB guns, and the adults were driving around without seatbelts. While seatbelts were required to be installed in new cars, people often chose not to wear them, with usage rates hovering around just 15%.
Yeah, he's great. I can't seem to find my seatbelt.
You don't need a seatbelt.
I don't need a seatbelt.
The reasons were many. Some thought they were uncomfortable, others thought they were unnecessary. And believe it or not, it was not a legal requirement to wear one. It was really just a suggestion. In fact, the first mandatory state seatbelt law wasn't passed in the US until 1984. As such, fatality rates were about 2 to 4 times higher per mile driven in the 1970s compared to today.
You might want to buckle up, for safety.
I can tell already you are going to get on my nerves.
Number 5, corporal punishment.
Wipe that smirk off your face. If you think, Mr. Dalton, that you're the first to try to get thrown out of this school, think again. Others have had similar notions and have failed just as surely as you will fail. Assume the position.
Something tells us that smacking kids with giant pieces of wood is not coming back in style anytime soon. In the 1970s, corporal punishment was both legal and commonly practiced, with methods varying from giant wooden paddles to canes to leather straps. If a kid was misbehaving in school, they weren't put on a timeout or whatever. They were whipped across the hands by a thick piece of leather.
Lay down on this, son. It helps. I know.
Public support of this was fairly high at the time, and many parents expected schools to discipline their children this way. However, the practice became increasingly controversial throughout the 80s and 90s, as we began questioning if maybe whipping kids with a cane wasn't the best approach to problem solving.
You know what? You don't have to worry about me because I'm a hard ass, and if a kid gets out of line, I got no problem smacking him in the head.
No, we don't use corporal punishment here.
Number 4, the colors.
Oh, watch it, Eric. Hot pizza rolls coming through. Hot, hot.
Kitty, where are you?
Okay, take 2. There's plenty coming. Is everybody good? I know. Vienna sausages are so versatile.
Never say never, we suppose, but something tells us that the interior decoration of the 1970s is staying firmly in the 1970s. This was a visually interesting decade. The 70s are widely known for their earthy and intense tones: avocado green, dirty yellow, burnt orange, and brown. Brown everywhere, as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, Jesse did that oil painting as well, and Buck is still installing the stereo. That's a beanbag. Yeah, and that lamp, those are real sterling silver. Yeah, they have a very modern feel too.
These colors aren't just ugly, but they also had an impeccable way of making a room feel dark, claustrophobic, and intense. Talk about visual overload. Some of these colors are coming back in style, albeit with a modern and balanced restraint. One look at a 70s room, and you could just smell the smoke that has seeped into the walls.
Hello? Hello?
Is Alana there?
Yeah, who's this?
Lance.
Number 3, leaded gasoline.
Leaded, unleaded.
Leaded.
We used to add tetraethyl lead to regular gasoline, and this improved engine performance in vehicles. It was introduced in 1923 and was the dominant form of fuel by the 1970s, but as it entered the atmosphere through exhaust pipes, it caused all sorts of horrible problems: neurological damage in children, heart problems, reproductive issues, environmental effects, you name it.
When you ship your tetraethyl lead from the factory, before you add it to the gasoline, it's handled just like a chemical weapon. There's a reason for that. Where do you suppose all that lead goes after it leaves the tailpipe? Think about what it might be doing to us and our kids.
In fact, many experts attribute the crime wave of the 1970s to leaded gasoline, arguing that widespread lead exposure resulted in lower impulse control and increased aggression. Luckily, we eventually realized the error of our ways, and tetraethyl lead is now banned and considered one of the worst public health hazards of the 20th century.
Tetraethyl lead was a common anti-knock additive in gasoline that went out with catalytic converters and unleaded gas.
Does the flying dermatologist drive a vintage car?
Maybe.
Number 2, carpets in bathrooms.
Jared, I'm on a carpet in a bathroom.
Yeah, okay. I know this isn't the best thing to say to someone having a panic attack, but we need to hurry here.
The 1970s was a very weird time in human history, a time when we all looked at our bathrooms and thought, you know what would be great in here? A shag carpet. Comfort and warmth was the name of the game in the 1970s, so that meant getting rid of those cold, white tile floors and installing a long, difficult to clean avocado green shag carpet.
Hey guys, this is Evelyn. She's the one with that bathroom carpet I've been peeing on I told you about.
This wasn't just cool, it was a luxury, as wall-to-wall carpeting was considered the peak of modernity in the 60s and 70s. Yes, the carpet often stank to high heaven. Yes, it got all moldy as it collected moisture. Yes, it probably held little pockets of uncleaned pee. No, we have no idea what they were thinking.
Did I urinate on your rug?
You mean, did you personally come and pee on my rug?
Hello? Do you speak English, sir? Parla usted inglés? I'll ask you again. Did I urinate on your rug?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, smoking everywhere.
But you have to realize that through manipulation of the mass media, the public is under the impression that your cigarettes are linked to certain fatal diseases.
If there's something we often take for granted in the 21st century, it's the lack of lingering cigarette smoke. This stuff was, quite literally, everywhere in the 1970s. There wasn't a building or a structure you couldn't smoke in. Restaurants, airplanes, offices, buses, even hospitals. Pregnant women smoked. Parents chain smoked with their kids in the house. Even worse, they chain smoked in the car, and often with the windows rolled up.
You know, it's proven that secondhand smoke is cancer agent.
So, even if you made a conscious decision not to smoke, there was still no getting away from it. You were going to smell. You were going to have a hard time breathing. You were going to inhale that secondhand smoke and possibly get cancer. Weren't the 70s wonderful?
When's the last time you had a chest x-ray? You know about secondary smoke? You can give people lung cancer who are innocent and trying to live healthy lives.
Why don't you just go back to sleep? Leave me alone.
Do you think these are dead, or will they stage a comeback someday? Let us know in the comments below.
Hey, you got any cigarettes?